what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Sherelle Renae.
And it's your girl, Ashley, and this is the Bear With Me podcast.
A podcast for constant evolution. You know where we do the soul work, soul search, and soul therapy. Everything is intentional. So welcome back to our channel. And girl, what's up? What's tea? What we doing today?
Well, to start off, we're gonna do a little icebreaker. So y'all are familiar with 2 truths, 1 lie, right? Yeah, 2 truths, 1 lie.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna start that off.
Oh, you know what? Before we get into that, make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe to the YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you are alert when we post a new video. Gotta make sure we plug that in, y'all. All right, so 2 truths, 1 lie.
So I will start. Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, we in our phones today because
right, because I don't remember 2 truths and 1 lie about myself. So all right, so the first one. All right, so I can draw.
Okay.
I've never had a PB&J sandwich.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a singer when I was young. I wanted to be a singer.
I feel like you look like you could draw.
You feel like I can draw?
I feel like you can draw. I feel like that's true. And I feel like the lie is you never had a PB&J.
Okay, so I cannot draw.
No?
I've never had a PB&J in my life.
What?
Never in my life.
Really?
Never in my life.
Wow.
I've never had peanut butter and jelly. Girl. I don't even know what that tastes like.
That's a good old struggle meal.
Oh.
I love it. I love it. All right. So when I'm stressed, I chew cardboard. When I'm overstimulated, I get quiet. When I'm angry, I punch the air.
Okay. You're not chewing on cardboard.
How you know? You think
which one? That's the lie. I think you chew cardboard.
So you think I punch the air when I'm angry?
I can see that. Versus
wow.
You chew cardboard?
I chew cardboard. I do. Let me tell you, anybody that know me, like for real, they know I have a whole problem, y'all. First of all, I have a low iron. Okay, don't judge me. I have a low iron, and it's called pica. Like you know how some people like have like weird cravings, like cornstarch. Some people eat cornstarch, chalk, soap. All kind of stuff. But like it's just like when I'm stressed, I don't know. I have the urge to just and it's a certain type. I
was about to say, is it like you can get a box that you packed clothes in, or it's like a cereal box, or it gotta be specific?
It's a specific type. And this is my truth, y'all. This is bear with me. Y'all gonna have to bear with me, okay? Yeah. But when I'm stressed out, I do that.
Oh, girl, that is crazy.
It is.
That is crazy.
We out here surviving pica, y'all.
Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. All right. So I got held back in 3rd grade. Mm-hmm. I'm allergic to cats, and I played basketball in school.
I feel like you played basketball in school.
Okay.
And so I'm gonna say your lie. What was the first one?
I got held back in 3rd grade.
I feel like you're too smart to have gotten held back.
Dang.
Oh, I have faith in you. Wow.
No, I'm allergic to cats, and I play basketball. I've never gotten held back.
So wait, I got it right.
Yeah, you got it
right.
Oh, okay. I was being funny because I'm like, dang, what if I did get held back? You like, you too smart to get held back. Like, I did. No, I didn't get held back.
I have faith in you, girl. All right, so I got caught up with 2 guys in one night before. I had 2 brothers fight over me, or I dated 2 friends and ended up with one for 6 years.
So this one is what? This is 2 truths, 1 lie.
2 truths, 1 lie.
Say it again.
I got caught up with 2 guys in one night before. I had 2 brothers fight over me, or I dated 2 friends and ended up with one for 6 years.
You did not. You ain't get caught up with 2 men in one night.
I did.
Oh.
I did, y'all. Let me tell y'all something, okay? One thing about it, when I was like, in my like okay, so I had, my serious relationships and stuff like that. But when I was like 18, 19, oh baby, I was a force to be reckoned with.
Girl.
Because
I'm over here like, not Sherelle.
I had no care in the world.
Oh God.
Yes, baby. Quick story time real quick, just to let y'all know. Listen, I was talking to a guy, and me and this guy, we were dating, but I also was talking to another guy. So one of them came to see me, and him and his homeboy, and everything was cool, but then we got into an argument. So once he left, I called my other little friend, and I was like, hey, look, come over.
Right.
He came over, so we outside, we chilling by the garage. Probably like an hour and a half later, the first dude pulls back up and like drives in the driveway, and I'm standing right there, and I'm hugged up with my other boo. Dude pull up, they sit in the car for a little bit.
Oh my God.
And they probably like, dog, she really, and his friend probably was instigating like, dang, bro. Right. You know what I'm saying? So his friend got out the car, he got out the car, his friend like, well, dang, sis, like, dang. So I said it with my chest. I stood there with my chest out because I didn't care, y'all. I really did not care. And long story short, I was just like, what's up? Because we had argued.
So wait, the guy that you was with, did he know that you already had a different dude? So they both was just in a bind.
But the dude that I was with, he walked up to him, gave him a little little hand high five, whatever, and they was cool. Went in the house. Let me tell y'all, my mama, she saw what was going on. God bless her. God bless her soul, because she started playing gospel music. And she told me, she was like, nah, Sherelle, you know you wrong. She was like, Sherelle, nah, you know you wrong. And I didn't care. I did not care, y'all. I was something else. I did not care.
Girl,
so yes.
So that's news to me. That's news to y'all as well.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I didn't care. So.
All right, well. So we just kind of wanted to tap into something a little light before we get into this next topic.
Yes.
We just wanted to scratch on something that has been definitely a driving force for me in my life and the way that I actually maneuver life currently, and also some things that have affected me growing up that have pretty much paved the way for like my current life and circumstances as well. So definitely wanted to touch on a little bit of childhood stuff.
Yes, y'all. Childhood. What does childhood, like as an adult, what do you think about when you think of childhood? Like, is there like certain memories you remember, or were there good times, bad times? What do you think about when you think of childhood?
For me, I would definitely say when I think about my childhood, it's a lot of bad memories. So I didn't grow up like rough or anything like that. Like, we were very fortunate. We had 2 parents in the house that, my stepdad and my mom. So, I wasn't really lacking for things in a like financial aspect, but I grew up really rough. Like, there was a lot of alcohol in my family, like with my mom and stuff like that. So on top of like the alcohol abuse and stuff, there was a lot of like actual physical abuse too. So it definitely was rough growing up. That's why when we played that card game and you asked like, was my childhood rougher or was adulthood rougher? I definitely said my childhood was rough compared to like my now. Because I can take the whole, having to pay bills and being financially strapped and all types of stuff like that. But as a child and just not having a voice and having to actually like bear through the stuff I went through, there's a lot of torment. It definitely was harder for sure. I definitely say my childhood was hard.
I understand.
And I know when I asked you that, you was like, oh no, my childhood was a breeze. Like, adulthood is where it's at. Like, I'll pay these bills, girl. Like,
yeah. I mean, even just thinking back to that question, at the time, I think that I was just more surface level simply because of where we was at in the game. And I wasn't even thinking that deep into it. But before I even get into personal, I'll say when it comes to childhood, I feel like as a child, like when you think as a child, I feel like, it's almost like the parent has all the power. You kind of just have to accept their reality of perception of whatever that is throughout life. And I think that everybody has their own story. Everybody went through, whatever it is that they went through. And I feel that we all come from different walks of life. Of course, our parents, tried it to do what they could do at the time. But I definitely think that childhood is very prevalent, a very prevalent topic to touch on, because I think that plays a lot in our adult life. And so for me, I would say that my childhood was, it had its ups and downs. It was a lot of downs. I too, witnessed abuse in the home, physical abuse, verbal abuse, myself. So, and just as a child, to just be in a toxic environment, right, and just to watch all that stuff, and then just having to deal with, just so much foolishness. It's like, I feel like in general that really can take a toll on us as kids as we grow up into who we are. So
but I feel like, as far as our adults, like our parents, you said, like, they tried and everything, but I also feel like they didn't sort through whatever was hindering them. Because I know for my mom, like, the drinking turned her angry. Like, She was super angry. She was super mad. Mm-hmm. And then she took it out on me and my older brother. My mm-hmm. little brother, not so much. I don't know if it's because, like, my stepdad was in the home. But for me and my older brother, it was dark for her. And, it's just her not dealing with whatever it was that was going on with her. And it was reflecting on us. And so that's been pivotal in the way, like, even that I raised my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Because it was more than just getting a whooping. You know what I'm saying? It was abuse, and just even being a young child, I've probably been in and out of therapy my whole life, stemming from being a child, mm-hmm. and, not actually being in therapy, but having, like, guidance counselors that I'm going to talk to and stuff like that. Because I was at a very young age, adolescent years, where I'm just like, I don't want to be here no more. Mm. And just to be little and to have those type of, like, thoughts consume you at a very young age is hard. Yeah. And that has pretty much been, like, my stance, even growing up, like, in therapy, dealing with that stuff.
I feel that. Yeah.
Because it was hard. Because you don't have, a voice when you're young, and you don't get to, like, say what you don't and don't like. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't that I was, like, rebellious or I was a bad child or, I did things that I wasn't supposed to do. It was more so for me that I had a lot of questions as a child, right? Mm-hmm. And that's one thing. Yeah. And that's one thing my mom didn't like. She didn't want me to feel a type of way about her saying no to something. She didn't want me to ask questions. You know what I'm saying? It always stemmed into, like, an argument, and then it ended up being, like, physical. And it was really just stemming from me, like, having an opinion at a young age. And so that has made me be very, even as an adult, and I'm learning now to, like, speak out more on the things that I don't like and the things that bother me and stuff like that. But even as into my adult life, it's made me very reserved, and I don't speak on a lot of things that bother me because I don't want, like, a certain reaction from people.
Girl.
So yes. I'm very, and that's why I was saying, like, this year, like, I'm speaking on stuff because I'm trying to, like, grow out of that, because I just kind of let people talk to me and treat me however. You know what I'm saying? And it really just stems, and, like, I'm in therapy now, and just even speaking to her, like, a lot of that stems from just not being able to talk as a young child and, feeling, like, powerless and stuff like that. So now I just try to have, like, full control over, like, everything.
I can say that a lot of what you said is me too. You know what I mean? So for me, you know how you said that you have, you had your stepdad in the house and stuff like that. Well, I had a stepdad in the house too. Let me start with my dad. My biological dad, he was not in the household. Right. He was around. There's no doubt that my dad loves me. That's for sure. I always felt that when he was around. But him not being in the actual house, I feel like played a role into some of my, and I can admit, anger now.
Right.
Even when it comes to having the man in the house who my mom was married to at the time, you know, he wasn't a good role model either.
Right.
And so them having their situation, and then me not having my dad in the house, it just, I think that I was growing up, it was a lot of times where I was very mad at him because it was like, where are you at?
Right.
Like, where you
all
at?
This shit is going on.
Yeah, all this stuff going on. Where you at? Right. And so, but if I look back at some of my dad's relationships too, his was toxic as well. Right. And so you have my mom. That's, you know, that there is physical abuse, like I said, verbal abuse. So going back to what you said, when it's like, I don't think that our parents, and this is just generally speaking as well, I don't think that parents deal with their own childhood trauma. Mm-hmm. And then they grow up and they get in different situations, and that adds to their already trauma. Right. And then it's like when they have kids, just like when we have kids, it's like if we don't deal with those things, then we can pass it on, and it just becomes a whole cycle. And me, to be a young girl at that time, to witness a lot of this stuff, it made me feel all kind of ways. I was pissed off a lot of times. I cried a lot of times. Right. It's okay. 'Cause, for me, I feel like I hold a lot in, right? Mm-hmm. Because I feel like you. I feel like a lot that I want to say or have been wanting to say or having a certain feeling towards certain situations that I've witnessed my mom go through, because I hold her very, near and dear to my heart. And so it's a lot of times where I feel like I was even angry at her for, allowing herself to kind of just go through and put up with a lot of that. Not saying she perfect, because, I talk to my mom even now, and I try to explain myself, because my mom can be very aggressive. Right. You know what I mean? And it's like when you're a child and you're witnessing a lot of this stuff, you really don't realize how much it takes a toll on your mental until you, A, become a mother yourself or father yourself. And then 2, when you in relationships and friendships with other people, and how you react and how you communicate with other people. And it's just like, I think from my mom's pain, I think to witness that, I think a lot of her pain, she just didn't know how to communicate it. Right. And so instead of, maybe just, handling certain situations one way, she lashed out. Right.
Yeah, and I'm not too sure as far as my mom, like where it stemmed from. I know that her stepdad was abusive to them. And so like I know that probably obviously played a role on her being angry and lashing out. And it was the opposite for me in my home. It wasn't that I saw my mom being abused, but she was like the aggressor. And I used to get so upset because, like, for instance, my stepdad, he's just so easygoing. He's calm. He's lax. And she would always be like the aggressor. Like, how do you hit somebody or argue with somebody who's not even fighting back? I've never seen him like step out of character. He's never like, called her out her name or anything in front of me. He's always been cool, calm, and collected. So for me, I seen it the other, like in reverse. It was like her being the abusive one to him, to me, to my older brother. And even now, just with the way that I parent my kids, like I barely even whoop them, because I never want to be so angry that I like hurt them in that way, because then it's like, I think I fear and I hate to say this, but like I fear, because me and my mom now we're cool, but saying it out loud, like I would hate to be her,
right,
or like her. When it comes down to my kids and the way that I parent, it has also played a role in my relationships. I'm not saying like I'm an abusive partner, but I'll get mad, I'll throw things, I'm angry, and that's all the stuff that I saw growing up. And I try so hard to not be like a version of that. But I literally sometimes feel like I can't help it. I literally will lash out, throw stuff, curse, you know what I'm saying? And the man is just calm. And then it just reminds me, like, that's my mom and my stepdad, like, just playing out all over again. And literally, I'm, like I said, in therapy now, trying to kind of, like, figure out where the anger is coming from, where it's, like, stemming from. And it just goes back to that. And what I saw was not right, but it was justified. Yeah. You know? And just even, like, once before my mom, you know, just like I said, the way that I parent my kids now, one time before my mom had, me and her were, I was young. I don't remember what I was upset about, but I told her, like, you know, I'm going to run away from home. Mind you, my dad wasn't in the picture. We left New York when I was very young, like 2 or 3. I hadn't met him again until I want to say 13. So I knew that I didn't have my dad, right? But, so it's like a lot of those things just kind of like, you know, I grew up with like daddy issues and just being angry all the time, girl. Same. And you can ask my kids now, like when I'm mad at them, I just like, sometimes I literally have to just go outside because like, I refuse to like hurt them in that way and carry on my stuff and put it onto them. And then they be angry ass kids, angry ass men, you know what I'm saying? Because it really does evolve into that.
And I think it's like generally, I think it's like a level of just different emotions that we all have, right? And it's like there has to be a balance. I think a lot of times when we as people, we lash out or we're happy or we are whatever, there's good and there's toxic ways of that. So for instance, if there's say there's this, you know, balance, you got on one end there's joy, there's happiness, there's, you know, that, and then on the other end there's anxiety, fear, depression, whatever. I think in certain situations what happens is that we, kids, parents, whatever, we have all these different emotions and we can heighten each emotion, and we kind of overdo it because we don't have a balance. And I too try to, you know, try to watch how I speak to my kids and not be so quick to, you know, they're toddlers, they don't know, you know what I mean? And not be so quick to hit because, you know, if I did something and if it rubbed my mom the wrong way, you know what I mean? And I think I'm even was more pissed with my dad because it's like, you know, I don't have, when I want to say how I feel, say if, you know, and I think it's very prevalent in Black families anyway. If you want to root it in, because a lot of Black families, they root things, they go back to religion. That's a big one. You know, they try to use religion against you, or they, you know, parents a lot of times too. I'm sure some of y'all deal with different type of parents. There's different type of parents. You have the parents that's you have absent parents, toxic parents, narcissistic parents, manipulative, and they could be manipulative to in perception as well. Meaning, you could have your perception of something and they can manipulate you into, you know, thinking away or whatever. And that's just to me, it's like a stronghold. And I'm talking about generally. Like this, all these different things happen around the world and everybody have their different experiences. But for me, you know, I would say, especially when there's a step parent in the home, you could have it, you know, like how we have it. You know, my experience with the step parent in the home was not a great example at all. You know, I watched a lot of what was done and I have a lot of anger towards that person as well, because I feel like that person contributed to a lot of already trauma I feel like my mom dealt with, just the rejection, even when it come to family, her own childhood issues. And it's like, for you to be a husband, what example were you? You didn't, try to be, not saying her knight in shining armor, because we have to fix us. Right. But at the same time, what example were you setting? And it's just like, just thinking about a lot of stuff that has happened, it just really pisses me off. And I wasn't as vocal as I would have liked to be, because y'all know with Black families, when you say certain things, it can trigger certain things, right, and then they get upset. So then I had always pulled back and got in myself. And it's like, when you realize when you get older, like, you hold so much stuff in, and it's like when you're an adult, you finally feel like, okay, I have something to say. Mm-hmm. I'm not a child anymore. Right. Like, I feel like this, you know what I mean? Like, this is how I feel. Don't tell me how I should feel. And just because I'm telling you how I feel, that don't mean that I'm trying to, whatever. But I'm speaking up for that inner child, right, that couldn't say anything or had no control or had nothing, I didn't have that, right? And I think a lot of us didn't have that. And so when we get to be adults, we kind of just feel like, okay, now you ain't gonna play with me. Yeah. Like, I'm an adult
and
now.
That's how it is. Like, just even in the homes, like in the Black homes, minorities, things like that, we are trained up to, like, you can't ask questions. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? That's one of my biggest things, that, constantly feeling like rejected. Anytime I try to talk to my mom, anytime I try to tell her how I feel, mm-hmm, she would shut it down instantly. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not allowed to have an opposing opinion. I'm not allowed to speak on the way I feel. Mm-hmm. And, you know how it was. Like, it was just straight up, because I said so. Because the, mm-hmm, answer is no. Because who you talking to? I'm an adult. You're staying in a child's place. Like, you couldn't ask questions. And so anytime I tried to, like, express how I felt about something, it was rejected. And that just played, like I said, into my adulthood. And it's something that I've noticed even in my relationships, that feeling of being, like, rejected. So now if I feel like you're not listening to the way I feel, or you're, you know what I'm saying, like, you're not allowing me to express myself, I get so upset because it has made me constantly look for, like, that reassurance. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I don't want to be a person who needs reassurance all the time, or I need you to tell me, like, everything is good, it's okay, you're, mm-hmm, justified in how you feel, but I search for that constant reassurance because I never got that.
I got it.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now when I feel like my feelings are rejected, I'm angry to a whole other level.
No, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Communication be off.
Yeah.
Like, so off.
Yeah. And that's why I tell my kids, even to this day, like, you can ask me anything within reason.
Right.
As long as you're respectful. Mm-hmm. I don't mind answering why we can't do something. I don't mind answering, you know what I'm saying? Even when they get in trouble, you know what I'm saying? I will let them know, like, listen, I'm taking this and that, whatever, you're grounded, whatever the case may be. But I let them know after the fact, like, you do know why you're in trouble, right? Mm-hmm. You do know why you're grounded, right? You do know why you can't go on that trip anymore, right?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, because I want them to have an understanding. I don't want them to just get hit or, say, punished or, things like that, and never being able to, like, ask questions. Because, mm-hmm, that has really, and even to this day, I still don't speak on things with my mom, because I don't feel like she's opened that floor for me to address those things. I kind of feel like she just want to, like, I don't want to talk about it anymore. It's old. It's in the past. But it's like, no, you really fucked me up as a child, and you fucked me up as an adult.
Yeah.
But I'm taking accountability for what you didn't do. And I'm going to get therapy, and I'm going to get help, and I'm going to, find out what my triggers are and what stems from what. Because I don't want to be one of those people who's just blaming it on my childhood forever.
Yeah, no. And there are some people who take it to that extreme, like it's always an excuse. Because if we're all honest, we all got some childhood. And not just childhood. Some of us have family systems that is just messed up. It's just so flawed. I mean, even going through the bloodline, there are just some messed up family systems, and and we say these things like trying to break generational curses, and we say all of these things, but what are we really actively doing to actually break it? Because if it's one thing I know I'm a generational curse breaker. I know that because not everybody has gotten the opportunity to do a lot of what God has blessed me to do, such as be on, certain stages with certain celebrities or being on soundtracks of movies. And I'm not saying this to brag, y'all. What I'm trying to say is that is a blessing. And not everybody has these opportunities. And I think a lot of times, even with me, just taking accountability for myself as an adult, I think that I've taken advantage of a lot of great opportunities. But if you go back into something, it almost kind of go back into childhood as well, because, I could do something great. And I feel like as parents, we have to learn to balance things out with our children, even me, because if it's not always about giving criticism, right? You have to balance it out with something good as well. So like when my kids ask me too, like my daughter, she's 3. She's like, why? If I told her there's something, it's why? And sometimes I yell, like, because that's my natural reaction, right? Because I said, go da da da. But no, she's 3. She want to know why. So I'm trying to learn to be patient and say, okay, you can't do that right now because this is not the time to do that. Or this is whatever. Or if my son, drop food, which he's notorious for, flip over food or something, not be so quick to, it's like, hey, go to timeout. You know why you're going to timeout? You don't flip the food. You don't da-da-da-da, and talk to them, because I do want my kids, I want to be a safe place for my kids to tell me how they really feel. And I think that we as children, and I'm talking for the inner child right now, because yes, we're adults, we'll get to that, but the inner child in us, we just want to be heard. We just want you to hear us so we can really tell you how we feel without us getting cursed out for it, without us getting hit for it, without us. And I'm talking about, this is so many people around the world. We just want to be heard a lot of times. And when we grow into an adult, it's like, listen, I view things different. I have my own opinion. This is mine. This is my life. Let me figure it out. Let me do that, because I think that a lot of times parents try to go and they're parents, and I get it now that I'm a parent. Like, you want to protect your kids. So I don't blame the parent for parenting with what they know, the tools that they only knew, because they only know what they know. But I do blame the parent, and I'm talking for everybody. I do blame the parent who know that they do have their own issues and didn't get help for it and never seek, that counseling or that therapy, so that when they did bring kids into the world, that they're not projecting that hurt, trauma in their childhood on their kids as well.
And I think that, I guess, like, as far as therapy and stuff like that, it wasn't such a big thing for our parents.
It wasn't.
You know what I mean? It wasn't as, I guess, popular as it is now. Mm-hmm. So it's like we are able to do the work and actually go to therapy and actually, find different ways to parent, and like some people gentle parent, which, listen, that's rough. But like, there's different books and programs and social media that is showing different ways to parent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that's resources that they didn't necessarily have back then.
And that is very true. Yes.
But they're parenting off of survival mode. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Not love, not affection, just what they know. Just survival.
Yeah.
There's no blueprint to this. And so it's like, for me, I'm taking the things that I did, but that's the thing. You can either grow up in an environment, right, and you either are a product of your environment, or you want to be the complete opposite. Mm-hmm. So, you may actually have a sibling that was in the same household as you that, evolves into an alcoholic because all they saw was like alcohol in the house and alcohol abuse in the house. And then you have another one who comes out of that and they don't drink at all.
Right.
Because they don't want to be anything like that situation. You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like you take what you take from your childhood, you know what I mean? And you try to just kind of create your own narrative. Because there's some things that obviously growing up, I still utilize when it comes down to my kids and stuff like that. But there's just so much that I don't do.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even sometimes drinking, I feel a little guilty sometimes in the house. You know what I mean? It's just mainly because of how how much it was happening in the house, how much alcohol was in the house. So it's like, even now I'm very like mindful of my alcohol consumption, just how much I drink around the kids, and you know what I'm saying? Like how much they see me drink, and I don't want them to get the wrong idea. You know what I mean? I'm very careful when it comes to that, you know? And then when I do yell and I get angry and I curse and stuff like that, like I just see that in my head, and I'm like, I do not want that for them, because I know how I feel as an adult, and I'm able to regulate my feelings. Our kids don't know how to regulate their feelings, you know? And it goes back to like, you know, your daughter being able to ask why and stuff like that. You have to understand that for some kids, this is the first time they're seeing this. This is the first time they're hearing this. Like, we have to remember how old they are, because we get so like consumed in the fact that like, okay, we're in our 30s. We understand this. You don't do this because this happens. You know what I'm saying? For them, this might be the first time they've ever seen this. So they're going to want to know like why, like, you know, and just knowing that you have to walk them through these things and explain things to them, like I said, within reason. Now, if it's the same thing we've talked about, you know what I mean? Then it's like, okay, your ass knows better. But I have to understand that not only am I their mother, but I'm their teacher.
Yes.
Everything that they know and all the lessons that they learn are coming from me. They're not learning it anywhere else. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I have to remember that I'm pouring into them, whether it's in a good way or a bad way.
Yeah.
You know, and I just don't want, and I'd be so scared, girl. I don't want to raise angry kids.
No, I get it.
You know what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to make sure that I do what I can right now, because they're still at an age where they're teachable and, you know what I mean? They're moldable. But once you get to a certain age, like, you are who you gonna be. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just making sure that I'm doing the work now so that they don't have to be.
Yeah. And it's like, even as an adult, like, we just have to, like, now that we're parents, you know, some things that we can understand, because now we go through our own stuff. You know what I mean? We go through our own difficulties and hurt and pain and things like that. So we have to also be careful not to project, you know what I mean? And making sure that our inner child isn't running our life. As adults, and just
taking accountability.
Because I don't want my kids to, you know, ever witness, and thankfully they're not in a hostile situation. You know what I mean? They don't see abuse. They don't hear, you know, arguing. Now, we argue, but you know what I mean? It's away from them, because I don't want that. And my daughter, especially, she watches everything I do. And I don't want her to, you know, and it's funny because I feel like a lot of times, just naturally as people, especially, I would say mostly a lot of times women, well, even men, we spend so much time not trying to be our parents. Or thinking that we don't want what they went through or whatever like that. And then if you look at it, you can see where you do see some patterns as far as your own personality or character traits. And then you can see where even the people that we date, it can be certain things are similar. But then it's like, it just depends, because it is, because if I look back at a lot of my past relationships and even current one, I can see some similarities as far as like with past relationships, especially just character flaws, similar to the man that was in the house of mine at the time, right? Even with my dad, I've dated the guy that was just like my dad. My dad, very laid back, easygoing. You know what I'm saying? He whatever, but not the biggest provider. You know what I mean? I've dealt with that. I've dealt with the guy that had do the nightlife, as y'all know, some people know, dude we're not still in the nightlife, right. Very similar. So then you start to see these similarities like that, and it could be something as small as that. But then if I look at the bigger picture, it's like, okay, but all right, if when it comes to the home, when it comes to my kids, are they experiencing what I experience? Right. Because that's what matters to me. Right. We could do better. We all could do better. But I think that, it's just about, that's why I really think therapy is needed. I think it's needed. I am
pro therapy, and y'all gonna probably hear me say it all the time because I just feel like you cannot not benefit from speaking to someone who has a complete unbiased opinion from the outside looking in. Like, you can't go wrong.
So let me ask you this: do you think that we tend to date the people similar to our fathers or the men that's in the household? Do you think that we tend to, for some reason, gravitate to that? Not willingly or anything like that, but do you think that that's a thing?
Yes. And I feel like whether it's good or bad. Right. So, a lot of times if we have a father in the house and that's the only father that we've seen, like, yes, we may unknowingly date men that have similar qualities to our father, whether we didn't like them or not. Right. And then also, same thing, if you had a good father in the home, you may very well date men that have similar characteristics to your dad, because it's kind of like, why would I not want a man like my dad if he was a good dad? So I think in both circumstances, a lot of people end up dating either who they don't like, or they'll try to find someone that's close to, that father figure that they had in the house. But
I could see that.
And the only reason I say that for me is because, like, my stepdad, like I said, calm, cool, collected. My boy's dad is the same way. Like, I was the one that would be like, and he'll kind of just sit there and be like, you doing all of this. Like, he was the calm one, and I used to have to step back because I'm like, how are you arguing with somebody who's not saying anything? Yeah. Like, how are you so mad to the point where you throwing shit and you're crying, and he's like, you know what I mean? Has all his composure. And that's similar to my stepdad. Like, he keeps his composure all the time. And I think that used to make my mom pissed. Like, that used to make her even madder, because it's like, you're not arguing back with me, you know? So I do see similarities there when it comes to that. And I wouldn't say that's necessarily a bad thing. But it's just been more so me taking on a lot of the similarities that I saw.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I think, we all got some stuff, man. We all trying to figure it out. And, shout out to the people who did have 2-parent households that was healthy, because there are some healthy 2-parent household, whether it's with your biological parents or a step parent or a foster parent or whatever. And even with that, it's some households that had the 2-parent households that was just as dysfunctional. The kids grew up even more effed up. Right. You know what I mean? So I think it just depends on the individual and what they take from it. But I think that we as parents, even us with our kids, we're now in the stage of molding, and we're setting these family systems as well. Right. So we are either going to pass on some of this stuff, or we're going to get ourselves together and we're going to say, okay, no, it ends here. Enough is enough. Because again, I could sit here all day and try to compare all my relationships, even this one that I'm in, to what I saw in the house. And for me, although there's definitely some similarities as far as, just same line of work when it comes to, certain things, and maybe even just maybe some views on certain things, just, but ultimately I will say that again, my kids aren't in a hostile situation. It's not, and I'm not mad at where it's at. You know what I mean? And I could leave anytime, because if at any point I feel like it's gonna if it's gonna be at risk of my kids being in a situation to where I know is already not healthy, there's gonna be a problem for me, and I'm gonna have to
evacuate.
Yeah, because I'm not putting my kids through none of that. And it's easy to say what we won't do, what we do, but when it comes to your kids, when it comes to mine, I don't care who it is. Right. We ain't doing that. So all in all, I think that we all should work on, just work on our childhood issues, not blame it, because again, our parents, your parents, whoever, everybody did what they knew to do. They only had the tools that they had, and that's no excuse. It's the truth. Just like us, we're trying to figure it out too, because we're not going to get it right. Our kids are going to have things that they're going to complain about as well, no matter how well we raise them.
Right.
No matter how,
because you always going to be the bad parent when they don't.
Yeah.
When, you know what I'm saying? They don't get their way, but they will know they was raised off of love and not survival.
And that's I can say that, because one thing about it, I will completely stand up and say, is that my mom, I never wanted for nothing. Yeah. I can say that. And I know she loved me and my brother. At the time, it was just us. I know she loved us, and she did what she had to do. And everything that we ever had was because of her. Right. You know what I mean? And that's real. She did that. But again, because you might as well say she was a single mother. Yeah.
And they damn sure make up for it with their grandkids.
What? Because you can't tell my mama nothing when it comes to my kids, baby. She makes up for it. You hear me? That is for sure. And my dad, he trying to do his thing now, but for the most part, she does. And so these are the conversations that we want to have. You know what I mean? Because we know that there's a lot of people who's dealing with different things. And if you're not the type to, you kind of fall back and you don't say much, it's good to just get that stuff out you, because one day you will explode. And sometimes I feel like,
right, that you on that cardboard.
Some days I do. I feel overwhelmed with emotion, because it's a lot. And I think that's important, to get those things out. And if it's a safe space, but we have to create these safe spaces for our children. We have to create these safe spaces for ourselves and allow ourselves to talk to that inner child and say, hey, no, you're going to have to speak up and say, I don't like this. This bothers me. I don't like when you did this, because I'm an adult now. I don't like this. And that goes for, because I got a lot to say to a couple of people. Right. No, I really do, because there's including my own father. Like, I have a lot to say. Yeah. Woo!
Yeah, girl, I know. And unfortunately, some conversations I will never be able to have. My father's not here, but he definitely, definitely had some things for him. But, I just had to move on, not having certain answers to certain things. Yeah. And that's just how my life, or life in general, is going to be at some point. Like, you're not going to have answers to a lot of your questions, and you got to find a way to be able to navigate still.
Yeah. So when it comes to family, y'all, let's just try to break the family systems, the family dysfunction. Let's work on ourselves so that we are not better, not to say that we're better than our parents. Hell, we're still figuring it out. We ain't gonna get it perfect. Our kids gonna have just as many complaints. But let's just try to do better and break those things off of us as the kid to the parent. But also getting our parents help if we need to as well.
Yeah, exactly. Family therapy.
Seriously. It's important. Yeah. So we really hope you guys was able to take something from this. I know stuff got a little emotional, but this is the first time I've even said out loud.
Yeah, me
too. To anybody like that.
Right.
Because I keep a lot of stuff in, but I think it's important to get it out, and just start somewhere. that's how I feel about that. But anything else you got to say before we wrap it up? Because I got to...
Right. Now I got to go drink.
Yeah.
I got to go drink after that episode.
I got to drink the rest of this.
Just the same, like, comment, share, subscribe.
Yes. Hit that notification bell.
Yes. Write us our email, bearwithmepod22@gmail.com. Any questions, concerns, we will address them on our upcoming episodes. But that's pretty much it. That's all I got for y'all. I'm done now.
No that's all we got. We ain't got no more.
All right,
we will see y'all on the next episode.
Be blessed.